Okay, and we are live.
As the clock strikes 7, the vibes alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the call. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice.
Please share,
Inner
please
Circle
share.
podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the call. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Monday, February 17th, and today it's a special edition because normally we are here 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. But today is a special edition, and we have a special guest who's going to be educating us on a great topic: impact of immigrant deportation. Since the new administration, immigration crackdown, leading to deportation. They're running up people everywhere from all the immigrant communities, deporting them or whatever. So tonight we have someone here who's going to be educating us, giving us some data, giving us some statistics, and just maybe allaying fears or telling the community whatever it is that we need to learn, and also that the impact it is having on folks that are going back home to wherever they are going back to. So tonight it's going to be a great one. Again, our topic for tonight is impact of immigrant deportation. I'm your host, Abe Kamara. We're going around the room to introduce our panelists quick, and then we'll introduce our guests. So Titus.
Hey guys, Titus here. Glad to be here tonight. Please like, share, follow. Let's have a conversation, man. And I gotta send a special gratitude to my bro here, Kelvin. Counselor, it's such a privilege having you on here tonight. Thank you for being here.
Okay. Mel.
Good evening, everybody. This is Melvin Landonzia here tonight. What an interesting topic and so timely to talk about it. And having someone with an expertise in such a topic is prevailing to, just understanding how things are going. So, welcome, brother. Thank you for just, you know, taking up the time and coming to share with us and answering our few questions we have. To our audience, just please be involved and ask your questions and comments. Share as much as you can. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Miss B.
Good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B here, and so excited about tonight. Thanks to our guest, Mr. Richards, Esquire, is at the end of that name, everyone. So put some respect on that. Yeah, but we're excited to be here tonight. Look forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much to our great panelists. Just real quick before we get to our guest, please share. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cycle Podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify. So thank you so much. We appreciate the support. This is a community show, and this is a show. With that, again, the topic tonight is impact of immigrant deportation, and we have a special guest here, Mr. Kevin Riches. Mr. Riches, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can you tell us about a little bit about you and your background?
Well, thank you for having me. I feel like we're all a family because I went to law school in Minnesota. I went to William Mitchell College of Law in Minnesota. I used to live in Plymouth, Minnesota. Even though I my entire life I've been here in New York, but Titus can reference that because his family. I'm close with his family, but we we have that New York connection. But Minnesota, what I remember in Minnesota is like everywhere is far. You need a car to move around from Plymouth to St. Paul. Driving back and forth to law school and stuff. Um, but yeah, I've been a criminal defense attorney now for the past 16 years in New
Okay.
York, and I do 80% of criminal defense, but 20% family law and immigration law.
Okay.
And my mom is Ghanaian, my dad is Liberian. I was born in Liberia, consider myself African, and I always like to, speak about what's happening in our community, in the African community, the immigrant community, and so forth. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that great intro. And I mean, it's like proud as a Liberian. I think we all can attest to that. Proud to see a young Liberian doing some good work for the community, and aspire, doing some good work. But first, right, is like with the issue under discussion tonight, impact on immigration. What data do you have to show for, especially as it relates to deportation?
Yeah. So first, I would like to give you like five a
Okay.
5 minutes overview of what deportation is, so people can understand what's happening. So
Okay.
first, you cannot be deported if you're a U.S. citizen, because I have people asking me that question, and I want people to understand that
Mm,
if you're an American citizen, you cannot be deported. Um, People who could be deported are people who are here on temporary visas, and either the visa expire, or if they got a green card and they got a criminal record. So if you're here and you have a green card and you got convicted of a crime, especially a felony, you may be subject to deportation.
mm,
Normally, if you got arrested for drunk driving in our community, I know it's kind of prevalent. You
mhm,
might be subject to deportation. Um, if you have a TPS, temporary protective status, if you're part of DACA, DACA means you came here when you were young as a child and your family brought you here. You cannot be deported, but if it's not renewed, then you'll be subject to deportation. So I also want you to understand that deportation, ICE cannot just arrest you and just deport you. That's not how it works. Whenever you get arrested by immigration, you have to see a judge, immigration judge. It takes a whole process for you to go through the whole system for you to be deported. You got to see a judge. They got to make sure that you're a threat to America before you be deported. But what we have unveiled is like the new administration now is trying to use the expedited system. And what do I mean? The Department of Homeland Security could also deport you if you've been here less than 2 years. So what I'm
mm,
saying is, if you've been here less than 2 years, they could bypass the system, and you don't have to see a judge, and you could be deported because you have not met the residency status. So if you've
mm,
been in America less than 2 years, and an immigration agent or Department of Homeland Security agent um, have you in custody, you could go through the expedited system and be deported, and you will not go through the whole process that takes time, because deportation doesn't happen overnight.
mm,
Most people feel like, oh, once immigration or they arrest you, they'll put you in a plane, they'll send you back home. No, that's not how it works. It takes time. It's a process. For instance, for 2024, as of October, when I went on the immigration website, it says there is 3.6 million people pending administrative deportation, meaning
mm,
judges in immigration court have to decide if those people have to be deported. And as I speak to you today, from October, I have 3.6 million people waiting for their cases to be decided. And I also got to explain to you that from 2024, ICE deported annually in every year 146,000 people.
Okay.
You know, there's a panic in the African community and our community that, oh, they will when you watch the news and social media, Trump say will deport everybody, but you have to go to the numbers and the numbers here. 2024, only 146,000 people were deported. But this is what is interesting. From those people that were deported, only 43,000 people were deported from inland. Now, what do I mean? Inland. I mean people who are living in America, like states like Minnesota, New York, California, Philly, Jersey. When I say inland, I mean people who are living in the city. Now, most people were deported at the border, meaning the Mexican American border. Once you go to that border and they found out you're not legitimate, they deport you. But when you come to people who are actually living in America, in our cities, only 146,000 people were deported, and people that were deported inland, it was just 43,000 people. So I want people to calm down and understand the numbers, because I know when you watch the news, Trump says he's going to deport everybody, but I don't want you to be confused by that. Now, um, I want you to also understand the difference between um, expedited deportation and regular deportation. And this is important. Regular deportation is when you come in contact with an ICE agent. ICE is the immigration
Yeah.
services, and then they arrest you. They're not going to just arrest you today and put you on a plane and take you back to Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, wherever you're from. You have to see a judge. But like I stated earlier, if you've been here less than 2 years, they could put you through the expedited system.
Hmm.
That's the only way they could bypass the system.
Okay.
And the expedited system, you don't have to see a judge.
Okay.
So with that expedited system, you don't have to wait in the system for 6, 7, 8 months or a year to see a judge. They could just deport you regularly.
Okay.
So from our statistics, the Trump administration has been trying to deport more people based on that system. What do I tell my colleagues? What do I tell my clients? What do I tell my African brothers that have been here less than 2 years? I tell them, if you know you've been here for more than 2 years, always keep a letter, keep anything, a receipt, an ID, whatever document you have to show that you've been here more than 2 years. Because if you have a stamp of a document that you've been here more than 2 years, they cannot put you through the expedited system. They got to put you through the regular deportation process that take almost a year before you get deported.
Okay.
You have a higher chance of not being deported if you're not a violent criminal, if you don't have a criminal record, because judges look at your criminal history. Normally, they target people with criminal record and criminal history for deportation. They're the priority. So if you want to not be deported quicker, you have a higher chance of of not being through that fast track system. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that great data, for that great information. I think this that kind of set the stage, right, for some for some intriguing question here tonight. First of all, like the first question from me would be that you've been in New York. I know where I've been, and then you say you represent, that you are a criminal defense lawyer. So if
Yes.
someone some like DUI, someone get a DUI, they are green card holder, and then they get into the system, can ICE arrest them and then put them through a deportation process?
Yes, the question is yes. And actually,
Okay.
I've had two of my Liberian colleagues
Hmm.
deported and two not deported but detained.
Okay.
Drunk driving makes you removable, not deportable. Now,
Oh.
most Africans don't understand what that means. I asked,
What's the difference between removable and deportable?
yes, okay. Removable means if you have a criminal record or if you have if you got arrested for a crime in America, but
Hmm.
the I is not going to prioritize you. Meaning they're not going to look for you to try to send you back home.
Oh, okay.
But guess what? You know what most people do? The mistake they do?
No.
They go back home by themselves. They travel.
Safety. Oh, okay.
So when you travel by yourself, you're inadmissible. And from my personal experience, I've been doing this for 16 years as a criminal defense attorney. I always tell
Yeah.
my clients, if you know you have a pending case or you have a criminal record, wait for 5 years before you travel. If not, once you travel, you're not admissible, because it's like the ICE not going to look for you because they have limited resources. So when you travel back out of the country, you can't come back. Once you come back to the airport, the DHLs, Department of Homeland Security, will say you're not admissible. They're going to send you back.
That's a green. That just to clarify, that's only for green card holders, though, right?
No,
Not
it's
citizens.
it's for everybody that's not a U.S. citizen. Also, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Your question is kind of vague because
I say
I'm
it's for green card holders. It's for those that are not citizens, right?
talking about anybody that visiting visa, TPS,
Okay.
student
Yeah.
visa, because I deal with everybody. I don't just deal with green card holders. I deal with people who want
Okay.
student visa. I deal with
Okay.
people who want TPS. I deal with people who are on humanitarian parole.
Okay.
Just everybody.
Okay.
Once
Okay.
you're a citizen, everything I say doesn't apply to you. If you're a citizen,
Okay.
you're a citizen.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Miss B, any question for Mr. Riches?
I kind of want him to finish on the part about removable and deportable.
Okay.
Yes. What's the
You
difference
want you
between
to
remove?
expand. You want him to expand more. Okay. Miss B want you to expand more on removable and deportable.
Okay, so let me just give you a brief example. So let me most I like I said, I went to law school in Minnesota. Over there, people can chill, have fun, parties. If you got arrested for, and I was a prosecutor in Minnesota.
Mhm.
I when I was in law school, I worked in Anoka County.
Mhm.
You know Anoka County, Anoka.
I mean, how you come here talking to Minnesota and
Oh,
then you
brother,
ask
this is
me
our
about?
city. We know
I mean,
Anoka.
don't let me go on a real on you.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I was a prosecutor in Anoka County for 3 months,
Okay.
and the reason I asked that, just so you have an idea.
Sure.
So once the DA arrests you for drunk driving,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean you have a criminal record. But if you
Mm-hmm.
plead guilty to drunk driving,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make you deep like technically by immigration standards, you're supposed to be deported, because the law says that if you get arrested for theft, moral turpitude, drunk driving, you should be deported. But immigration has limited resources. So they're not going to find you. You're not committing no violent crimes, not a felony. Like you're drunk driving, you are drinking, you want to party. You know what I mean, you're deported. And no, you're supposed to leave, but you're not leaving. Now, once you self travel, and that's the key, it makes you inadmissible. And I want people to understand that, because a lot of Liberians don't know that. Some people will say, "Oh, I got green card. I don't do anything, but I got pending case." I know so many Liberians that are represented that have criminal cases that they weren't immigration and bother them, but once they travel outside of America, then they become inadmissible.
Okay.
So I need you to understand what removable, deportable, and inadmissible means, because once you
Okay.
travel, you can't come back.
Okay. Just real quick here, as a follow up to that, right? Is like I think that's a good one. DUI is not a federal offense, so why be refused to enter back into the U.S.? Why be inadmissible if it is not a federal crime? Why be inadmissible? Is it that when you have any criminal records, local or what, you are? I mean, this applies to you. The way you are talking about.
No, again, don't no. DUI is not a federal offense, but it's a crime against moral turpitude. Meaning, moral turpitude means when you in America, you're supposed to in Basel say you so behave yourself, but you're not behaving yourself. That's the simplest way I can say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a federal crime. It's not a federal offense, but they were saying that the expectation of your behavior in the United States is not up to standard. So they use it against you.
Okay. Mel, question for Mr. Riches.
Mr. Richard, thank you. Thank you for just, diving into your intro and all of that. I'm proud of you, brother, for doing what you do, being a Liberian and, being a lawyer here, representing a lot of people. You mentioned something about, when the current administration took over, they have about 1 point something million people. I didn't quite get the number, but
Three
with
million,
just what
about 3 million, about 3 million.
3 million. But with just that, is just maybe little over a month, and yeah, and not been over 2 months yet since the new administration took over. How were they able to gather so many people, right? With just the information you gave. When you had 2 months here, you haven't stayed here for two years, and then you are formed within the area. You they can kind of use the expediting system. But how were they able to just gather so many people within a short period of time? What were used? What process did they use? If you can kind of dive in that a little bit.
Yeah, so 90% of ICE detention is through the criminal justice system. What that means is once you've been stopped by the police, normally the 90% of people they will fingerprint you. Once they fingerprint you, by law they have to give your fingerprint to the FBI. The FBI is the feds. The feds get your information now. So most of the people that are being rounded up and deported are people who have been through the criminal justice system.
Okay.
Now, if you've never been arrested before, you will not be. The numbers that I have here that I've crunched, you won't be part of that. But this
Okay.
is scary, and I want my Liberian people to understand this. Even if you've never been arrested before, but you're on TPS, we got no allow Liberians in Minnesota on TPS, and Trump do not extend the TPS and it expires, you have a problem. ICE immigration could also have access to your utility bills, meaning I don't know where in New York it's called Spectrum, our cable.
Okay. We got
Comcast?
Xfinity, Comcast. Yeah, Comcast. We got
I remember I
Comcast
went to
here.
law school. Comcast. Okay,
Yeah.
so imagine if you're an immigrant living in Minnesota and you have Comcast. ICE immigration have information that your name is John Flomo. John Flomo have Comcast, and if they're looking for John Flomo, all they gotta do is access Comcast data and get your address. So what I tell all my clients, if you know you have a problem, and with the new administration, change your location. I'm not saying move. What I'm saying is, and because 90% of ICE raids happen in the evening or at night. They don't raid people at the end of the day because that presumption is people work, people move around. So in the evening or night, that's what I do. All the raids that happen in New York City, because I live in New York, is in the evening or night.
Okay.
Change your location where they have your address.
Titus, any question for Mr. Richards?
Really great information you're giving us here tonight, brother. Thank you. So you're in New York. What and so far you say everybody has been kind of reaching out to you. Most people are reaching out to you. Do you think the cities, maybe most of the cities in New York right now, are the police helping the ICE agents to arrest folks for deportation?
Okay, that's a very good question on Titus, and I know me and you go way back, but I need you to understand what sanctuary cities mean. Sanctuary cities just mean that they have cities in America that when you get arrested and you put through the system, the city officials, if it's not a felony, and that's the catch, I need you to get that. If
Mhm.
it's not a violent felony, they do not have to coordinate with ICE. Right
Mhm.
now, as I'm speaking to you, I got more than 300 cases pending. But all those cases, most of them are misdemeanors and few felonies. If it's a violent crime, by law in New York, they have to tell ICE this person committed a rape, this person killed somebody, this person do X, Y, and Z. So ICE will know and they'll put a hold. Meaning, I don't care what I do. You're not coming from jail, brother. At the end of the day, I don't care how I win your case. Even when they see you kill the person, you kill the person. ICE will know that, well, yeah, you kill the person, but they will know what you did or what you were accused of. And that's a problem. But 99% of the time, the city of New York said they're not going to coordinate with ICE. So when you get arrested and you get processed, you do not get your fingerprints, because when you get arrested, the first thing you're going to go jail, they can take your fingerprint. Once the fingerprint go to the system, New York City will not tell, or Minnesota will not tell immigration that, oh, we have titles, Yinka, blah, 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 can't find him, blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
Okay.
Can I do a quick follow up?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
So you attempted to make a distinction between the folks who are here less than 2 years versus those over the timeline. For those folks who are below 2 years, did you say that they don't get any kind of due process? So those folks, they're picked up, boom, they're gone. That's it.
and, and that's it. So the way the law works here is, if you've been in America, living in America, undocumented, or your case is pending, and you haven't been here for more than 2 years, you're eligible to go through the expedited process.
Mhm.
Every illegal person, meaning you can't here, you overstay your visa or Jowiatan. When Jowiaki, 300 people stay, let me just release my library people. You've been here, Jowiatan, whatever time. But if you've been here less than 2 years, you qualify to go through the expedited process where you don't have to see an immigration judge.
Mhm.
And that's what Trump is using.
Mm.
And that process is called the expedited process to the DHL, meaning you don't have to go through the whole court. Because listen, facing an immigration judge, before they detain you, before they send you to a place, before they feed you, you got to shower, sleep, everything. It takes 6 months to a year before you're deported. They don't deport people overnight. But if
Okay.
you've been here less than 2 years, then you qualify to go through the expedited process. They could just deport you in 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks, whatever. So that's the difference that I want people to understand. So what I recommend to people in New York is always have, if you've been here more than 2 years, have proof that you've been here more than 2 years. It could be anything. It could be a letter. It could be Facebook post. It could be a picture. I've seen cases where people have shown picture to immigration officers that, hey, I was here 2 years ago, and they show picture, and then they disqualify them from that system. I've seen letters and so forth. So I recommend to people that if you've been here more than 2 years, keep your letters, pictures, anything to show that you've been here more than 2 years, so you won't be part of the expedited process.
That's a great
There's a
information. Thank you.
there's a follow-up question that Abe, if you allow me asking real
Go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There
Go ahead.
are there are people that go and come, right? They will kind of travel here, go back home. And I believe those people at some point in time they might have like pictures and stuff like that to show. But then maybe go and come back, and it just the last time they came is like they are within that 2 years span. If they show pictures or something that seem like evident that they've been here X amount of time, even though they've been going back and forth, are they still, do they still fall within that expedition or process if they
So,
are detained by ICE or
so
immigration?
my brother, the law says that have you been a U.S. resident for 2 years? Now I understand that you say people can't go. Now, I speak as a librarian now. Most librarian people can go. Say, I mean, mistake now. You understand? So the problem here is once you detain by ICE, what we as attorneys look at, if I don't want if I don't want my client to go through that expedited process, is like, hey, how long have you been here? Can you show me that you've been here longer than 2 years? So we'll slow the process down. Because guess what? If you slow the process down for me, it helps my case. When I go to immigration court and see immigration judge, it helps me to show that you're not violent, you're not committing crime, you're not harming nobody. You should be. A matter of fact, guess what? If you have children here, it helps a lot. If you have kids in America, plus.
Okay.
So you going, coming. It depends on how can I show that you're not a harm to society, and especially if you have kids here and so forth. But
Okay.
coming, going. It depends on what can I show to the judge that you've been here longer enough that deporting you, it won't make sense to America because it's costly. If I check when I check to the IRS website to deport one person, it costs per day. It costs $5,693. To keep somebody in ICE custody for a year to go through the whole process, it costs $10,503. I'm giving you figures on it.
A day. A day.
Per day. No,
Okay.
no. To deport as of February 3rd, to deport one person just in one day, it costs $5,603. Now, to keep somebody in ICE immigration center, it costs $10,563. Think about it. So
So
imagine
it's cheaper to keep you here than to deport you.
Exactly. So just going by the numbers, it doesn't make sense. So immigration judges look at reasons to not deport you if they don't have to deport you.
Okay.
There's a follow-up
Okay.
question there, Abe. Sorry, my brother. I know
Wait, wait,
No,
wait,
go
wait.
ahead.
Wait,
I kind of
Let
going,
him flow. Abe,
wait,
let him
I
wait.
kind of
flow.
going away from the show.
No, wait. We also got to give our audience an opportunity. You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
also some comments are coming in high. That also gives. So, Mr. Richards, right? JP is saying, what about a traffic light, right? Can that be? I mean, can that lead to deportation? Because
No,
it feels like everything now can, can get you deported. Can you speak to that? It's like petty crimes, right? Maybe shoplifting or traffic light and things like that.
sir,
Petty crimes.
sir, calm down, calm down. You said something important. You said shoplifting. I have a lot of Liberian clients that go. In Liberia, you can do your thing there. When you go to the mall, they get camera and arrested for shoplifting. So I have a lot of Liberian people that get arrested for shoplifting. Oh, they get arrested for shoplifting? Yes. Shoplifting is not a petty crime. Traffic light is a petty crime. Traffic light, you don't get arrested for traffic light. You get a ticket, you get a citation, you gotta pay. If you want to deal with traffic light, stop sign, no seat belt, those are all petty crimes. But when you say shoplifting, when I was a prosecutor, you could go to jail for shoplifting.
Okay.
So people, shoplifting will not get you deported. But guess what? It exposes you to the system. As a former prosecutor, I can tell you that when you get arrested is not important. Please know this is what you get convicted of. There's a difference between arrest and conviction.
Yep. Let them know. Yep.
Arrest is nothing. Even me, as an attorney here, somebody can call from Minnesota and say, "Oh, Kevin Richards kick me or punch my head." They can arrest me. That doesn't mean anything. It's conviction. Conviction means what the outcome of a case. Arrest is nothing. Donald Trump got arrested for so many things. At the end of the day, is what he got convicted of. You feel me?
Okay.
So I want people to understand that.
Don't make Abraham feel good here tonight, please.
My God.
Anyway, another one here from Stefan. What if I have a case pending in immigration, example, a marriage case, and I have been here less than 2 years? Can you still be expedited if I'm picked up by ICE?
No. And the good news here is because you've told me you have a pending immigration case. And I told when I was speaking, I said it. If you don't have a pending legal case, if you have a pending case, naturally you have a pending case that leading to you having your status. So you're not going to fall into the category of people who came here less than 2 years and they have no legal status and they're not adjusting their status. Right now, you tell me that you're adjusting your status. You're married to a U.S. citizen, so you have a pending case. Matter of fact, even travel. Do you know that when you marry somebody in 2-3 weeks, once you have a pending case, you can travel for parole. You can advance parole. You can go Labrador anywhere you want to go.
International, okay.
Anywhere. Get
Guys coming married again now.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Mel, what's your follow-up question? We just want to give the audience opportunity to make sure they get their voice here too. Go ahead.
That is fair, my brother. That is fair. I didn't just want to lose my thought on that because we kind of touching on it a little bit. Now we're speaking of people being deported. All right. What are or how do receiving governments, like countries that people are from or deportees, what are some things that are put in place to prepare in receiving those people? If you can speak to that. I know it got nothing to do with America, but I believe, you have a little bit of information here. Let's say if I'm from Liberia, I'm deported to Liberia, what government in Liberia do in return of deportees to kind of prepare them?
Yeah, so generally I know 4 countries that America has having problem with, which is Brazil, Cuba, India, and Venezuela. The people saying, I don't care what you say, bro. We're not accepting nobody. So up to now, those 4 countries I just named, America can deport a citizen. They just hold them in cells, and then the case die. So and I also know I've represented 2-3 people. Like bros, I didn't know them because of one refugee coming in Ghana during the war. And up to now, they're not deported, even though they were convicted of crimes. They can't deport them to Liberia. They're speaking Liberian English like me, like everything. Now, so the way it works is if immigration, if the judge decides that you gotta be deported, they got to consult Liberia. And technically, by law, the Liberian government is supposed to receive those people and is supposed to provide resources when they arrive to get them on their feet. But of course, I don't know the last time I was in Liberia. I go to Liberia every year for the past 5 years. So I've been in Liberia for the past 5 years. But when you enter Liberia, it's a different story. But technically, by law, Liberian government is supposed to receive these deportees and then, assimilate them in the Liberian culture and society.
Mm.
Now, what do that mean? I don't know, because when you enter Liberia, is a whole different process. But the government of Liberia is also recognize, yes, I'm a citizen, yes, the Liberian, and accept them. But to piggyback on your question, if Liberian government cannot identify you as Liberian, they cannot accept you, and they can't accept you, you cannot be deported.
Okay.
Only people that the government can say yes, I recognize them, can be deported.
Okay.
Mm.
Just real quick to that, right? There's so much information going on social media, like, hey, this amount of Liberians are on deportation list, this amount of Ghanaians are on deportation list, this amount of Nigerians are on deportation list. Is that, I mean, you have it as soon as you put on social media, it's all over the place. Is that a true list, or are these fake?
Now, when I went to prepare for this podcast, I didn't see no list with Liberian, Ghanaian, this, that, but I'm confident there are people who are going through the immigration process. Now, the fact that you're going through an immigration process doesn't mean that you've been deported. There is an immigration process that takes people, and then you got to see a judge. Like I told you, there is two processes of being deported. The first process is you go through a judge. If a judge is longer process, and if the judge found at the end of the day, brother, you got no reason to be here, whatever reason to have, you got to go back home. You go back home. The next process is the expedited process. You've been here less than 2 years, and they found out, listen, you have no value to be here. They will deport you. So the fact that people on that list, it doesn't mean they're going to be deported, because most people that come here, America is the beacon of hope. You could come here illegally and still apply for political asylum. I know thousands of people. The law in America says that once you're American soil and you flee from persecution back in your homeland, you have the right to apply for political asylum. So that's a gateway to people coming here and applying for political asylum.
Okay.
So once you come here and you say, listen, my name is John Brown, they were persecuting me by my country, you have the legitimate and the legal right to apply for political asylum, to see a judge. The judge will hear your case and your story, and you get status.
Okay.
So don't go by that list, please.
Okay. Miss B, question for Mr. Richards.
Yeah, so DED folks who were on Liberians who were on TPS are now on DED.
Okay.
If I'm on DED and I have not, for some godforsaken reason, transferred my status from DED to citizenship, are those some of the folks that you're seeing having potential deportations if I've, committed a crime or something? Are you seeing those type of people showing up in immigration jails or having to face immigration judge right now?
No. So right now, what I can tell you is most people that on that temp TPS or DED that Minnesota, New York, una slow like you're in Minnesota. You're slow. You're way bien. The first thing. Secondly,
brother, they won't buy Gucci instead of paying for that citizenship. What would do?
Stop it, Nesby.
Secondly, those programs, they're not deportable. If you have a temporary protected status by law, again, there's a caveat. You're not deportable by law. But guess what? When it expires, you become eligible for deportation, for removal. Do you understand what I'm saying? Once it's valid, you're not deportable. You can deport anybody that on a TPS or DED. But once it expires and the president does not renew it, then you expose yourself to removal, which means deportation.
All right.
But
let me let people know. You guys have till June of 2026. Biden renew it till June.
That's the Minnesota problem. When I'm talking to people in New York and Philly and Jersey, we don't have that problem here. Everybody on top of that game. You're
the chilling too much here.
Mr. Richard, stop attacking the nicest state in the union. Stop attacking the nicest state in the
Small up
union.
here.
You know, yeah, you know, I mean, that is where this is the nicest state in the union. You know, stop attacking this state. But
I agree.
Titus,
Following
question.
up on Ms. B's question though,
Mhm.
those folks that we just talked about the DED, so they have so the status expires. Are they still targeted? Whether they're committing violent crimes or not?
Um,
They're
so
undocumented, but
no,
if they're not
so
committing violent crimes,
yes and
are they,
no.
are they
So
targeted?
I say yes and no because yet anybody that's not a U.S. citizen that commits a violent crime, you automatically targeted. Like I told you, I have like 200-300 cases right now. All my clients that have violent felonies, I don't care if you're not a U.S. citizen, even if you have a green card,
Hmm.
you subject to ICE deportation because you committed a felony. Now, those people in Minnesota who have the DD, yes, they are. But I told you they cannot be deported because they have a valid status. But once it expires, I'm hoping that Trump or whoever it is renew that status because I've been hearing Trump is saying he's not going to renew the TPS for
He's
Venezuela.
against it. Yeah.
No, not Liberia though. For Venezuela, there is. I just read on the news before coming out here that he's not going to renew the TPS for people from Venezuela. There are almost like 2,000-3,000 people. He said he doesn't care about all that. Once it's expired, then they could face deportation. But when it comes to Liberia, what I'm saying here is, if you don't have a criminal record, if you don't do anything violent, and you're here legally, stay low. If you stay low, you should be good.
Green
As
card holders, just before Abe goes,
mhm.
green card holders, again, same similar question. The
If you have a green card, it means you're a permanent resident of America. If you
Yeah,
haven't,
but it expires and they didn't renew.
no,
Does
no.
that apply?
No, renew your green card is irrelevant if you're in America. You don't have to renew your green card. Uh, this is how I want you to see a green card. Green card is like a driver license. If you don't renew your driver license, it doesn't mean you can drive. It just means that your driver license is expired, but it doesn't mean you know how to drive. So you still legitimately know how to drive. Green card holders can stay in America if they renew that green card forever. It doesn't matter, but they
Okay.
can travel. When they
So they're
travel,
not undocumented.
as that. Thank you. That's it. When they travel, then it becomes a problem. But if they stay here, no problem. But what I recommend is renew your green card, have a valid green card. Because if you don't have a green card, it becomes a problem. It doesn't mean you're deportable, but it means that you don't have proof that you're a permanent resident. And with the new administration now, I'm afraid that you need to show stuff that you
Anything is possible.
correct.
I mean, I can speak to this, but I think, saying you are a guest and you are the expert, is JP is saying for folks who don't know what is TPS.
Temporary protected status.
Okay.
Is JP Liberian or no?
Here's a Liberian. The mayor was saying you got something against folks here in Minnesota and stuff like that, It's something that but we'll say that off air. We'll take that other beef somewhere else because it's like you're coming hard against the nicest state in the
Nah,
union tonight. So, but
I
anyway,
love that.
we'll
I love
give you a
Minnesota.
pass. We'll give you a pass. Mel, question for Mr. Richards.
Yeah, Mr. Richards, I mean, thank you a lot. You are helping a lot of us here to understand things that we have no knowledge of. Um, so basically, you say you have about 300 cases pending that you kind of working on with your clients. But, like those cases, my question here now, I'm trying to be a little biased here, but there's a reason behind that. Those 300 people, how many of those people are Africans? If you don't have to give a number, you can just give percentage. And how many of those people are from like Mexico and Asia and all that? I just want to know so then we have some type of information here that we're dealing with specifically as it relates to people that are detained in New York.
Oh, so sorry for confusing you. I'm a criminal defense attorney in New York. I
Okay.
work for legal aid. So when I say I have 300 cases, I mean I have 300 cases of criminal defense attorneys. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, in New York. So normally we don't target immigrants and undocumented people. It's
Okay.
just the fact that I have cases of people in New York. I would say 70% are African Americans, 10% maybe Mexicans or Hispanic, 5% Africans, the rest other, Asian, Chinese and whatever. But generally, most of my cases in New York right now, I have gun cases, I have drunk driving cases, I have shoplifting, domestic violence, rape, assault, attempted murder. I have different cases, but
Okay.
they're not target for immigration purposes. Most of my people they ain't facing immigration because they're either American, like I said, 90% they're American people or and so forth. But once I have somebody that I know could be deportable, I put your file separate because I know that you're in problem. Because most people just want to work, just want to take care of their family. Most people just they have family back home, they want to help. So once I know that you're in that category where you may face immigration consequences, I put your file separate and I look at you differently.
Okay.
Mm. As a criminal defense attorney in New York, do you have folks maybe even either from our Liberian community or from the African community reaching out to you? Hey man, I got this stuff. Maybe that can you help me through my legal process? Are you in this tense environment, right? Is that in this heightened environment? Are there folks calling you, calling on you for help?
Oh, of course. They've been doing that for the past on 16 years.
Okay.
You know,
But
they,
is it different now, though? Is it different now, especially that we are African brothers or maybe like or immigrants? Is it different? Are folks reaching out to you? Hey,
let me
man, I mean,
let me
with this heightened environment, I think I might be in trouble. So can you help me?
let me tell you the bad thing about being an African attorney.
Uh,
Everybody want everything free, and everybody
Mhm.
no. I'm being honest with you.
You know that, my
Everybody
brother.
there's two things. Listen, everybody feel that because they know you, that means everything will be free. I got people calling me on things that aren't even legal. People will call you on things that are not even legal. Somebody call me and say, "Oh, somebody to my door." You know? I'm like, "Oh," and the time I call my lawyer, so I call you. I'm like, "Yo." So of course, again, I'm privileged that I'm in the position I am as a librarian, coming here. But yes, things have actually intensified based on the fears of our African brothers. And I'm active in the African community here in New York, and I've been doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of conversation about know your rights because there was a story that happened a few weeks ago that some lady from Ivory Coast went to the airport, they deported her. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I had to do like few, videos about that. So the African community, they're kind of tense right now that people not know what happening. But I want all of us to understand that listen, everything will be okay. If you're citizen, don't worry about nothing. If you're not citizen, don't commit crime, and everything will be fine. Even if you commit a crime, you get a record. Don't be to your location. ICE doing right now, right? And I have this discussion with Titus before we get on. I think a day or two ago, I told him he didn't believe it. I said, "Do you know Joe Biden deported more people than Trump?" He said, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, that's staggering.
In the first 3 weeks of Trump administration, he deported 5,693 people. Listen to what I'm saying. As of February 3rd, Trump has deported 5,000. I have the numbers here 5,693. Do you know how many people Joe Biden deported in his first 3 weeks? 12,000.
okay.
So,
Uh,
so it's like the numbers don't add up. Trump have deported only 5,693. Trump deported 5,693. Biden deported 12,000 people. But Biden wasn't yelling. Biden wasn't all over the place making a whole show. But people are more afraid of Trump than Biden. But Biden had deported more people in his first 3 weeks than Trump.
okay. Um,
Numbers.
yeah.
It, it,
Just
no,
yeah. Just real quick, Mel. I'm glad that you brought that everyone woman up because that's the issue of dual citizenship, right? Folks who are dual citizens got dual passport. There was something going around in the community that, according to U.S. law, once you travel on a foreign passport, you cannot use a U.S. passport to come in because that's what you brought out everyone woman in. I think according to the story, she used a foreign passport to go to Ivory Coast. When she was coming back, she was trying to use her U.S. passport, and she was denied. First of all, can you expand on that? Can you first of all dispel that rumors? Is that something that is that something? Can you the expert, right? I'll let you. Have explained it to you. Please educate our audience on that.
Okay, and again, I have, if you go on my Facebook page, I explain this in abundance.
Mhm.
It's not possible that a U.S. citizen will ever be denied entry into America. So first thing, stop that nonsense. It's a nonsense. Now, this lady, from my, because I don't have the real source of her information. I think was a U.S. citizen that only traveled to Ivory Coast on an emergency Ivorian passport and wanted to come back to America saying they were American. And she got a certificate that she's citizen and so forth, but she didn't have a valid US passport. First thing when you travel out of America, let me just put it in a bright English, no immigration people can see you. That TSA. TSA not immigration. TSA only make sure you're on the right flight. So when you leave in America, they don't stamp your book. They do not stamp your book or your passport when you live in America. When you enter in Africa, Liberia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, whatever, when you arrive, that country decide, oh, you coming? How you coming? If you got a Liberian passport and you go to Liberia, they stamp your Liberian passport. When you coming back to America, before you get on the plane, they check your document. They don't stamp it. They only check to make sure that you valid to leave. If that's the case, all Liberia, the whole Liberia will come America. The whole Liberia will come America is in checking. So they check your document to make sure that you're allowed to get on Brussels to come to America. Once you come to JFK or LaGuardia or Minneapolis Airport, then immigration now, they don't care how you left America. They don't care. They only care how you come in America. Do you have a valid document to come in America? If you're a U.S. citizen, they put you on different line. And then they stamp a book. Welcome home. The auditor, they say, welcome home. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
So in the case of that woman, then she never had a U.S. passport. The Ivorian woman, she never had a U.S. passport.
My intuition is she's a citizen, but she
Yeah.
didn't have a valid passport.
Okay. 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 Thanks for
So what
clarifying.
happened? Did they deny her? What I mean,
They will deny anybody, even you Tatos. If right now, if you're a citizen and you go like bro, Liberian passport, and you go hang out with Baka, and you coming back, and you get your valid passport, you coming back, bro. You go back. You need a passport to enter America.
Gotcha.
You can leave. Leaving is free. You can leave as you want to, but to come back, you need that.
need a
Okay.
passport.
Well, folks, tonight we are discussing the impact of immigrant deportation. Basically, we are discussing deportation. And Mr. Riches, Defense Attorney, did some great research and he's really educating us tonight, providing us some great information. So you can call our number 817-600-1525, or you can contribute to the comment as you have been contributing tonight. We really appreciate you, Mr. Riches, is providing some great information and great education. The man really did research. Lawyers, that's what lawyers do. Lawyers do their research, the research all day. So really appreciate you, Mr. Riches. But here's a question again from Stefan. So is that he said, so what is your legal advice to people who did your TPS status about to expire, and what legal rules should individuals take to continue to stay here? Before you answer this question, though, let me just say here, right? Tomorrow, as we are on the issue of immigration, tomorrow we'll actually have like an immigration lawyer come here tomorrow. So some of the things like tonight you are educating us on deportation and stuff like that. But some of these questions could easily, Sandra Fest, Representative Sandra Fest is going to be here tomorrow. She could also contribute to some of these things. But go ahead, Mr. Riches.
Yeah. My advice is don't travel. I'm just, and again, it's not just being an attorney. It's just because I'm someone like you. Now you listen to all the American lawyers, then they will talk tabata. But at the end of the day, don't travel, because you know what? From my experience, when you're in America, your system and your process is different than when you're outside America. When you apply for things, when you're not in America, the deadline, the waiting list is different. Stay here. So my answer to you, brother, please stay here and do your application here. Do everything you want to do here. Once you travel, your rights, it's not the same compared to when you're here. That's my only advice. It's personal. It's a personal advice to you. Stay here.
Okay. Miss B, question for Mr. Richards.
Man, just thank you for all the wealth of information that you have provided and debunk a lot of myths that some of us probably have helped to spread because of the fear and wanting people to be fully informed, right? And so I appreciate for you explaining some of those things to us. Just want to know, I mean, right now you're working for the state of New York. Can people access you? Do you have like a little side hustle where you do some kind of legal outside of that? Because I'm sure inquiring minds want to know that. And for folks who want to pay.
So I do a lot of pro bono work. My brother Titus, you can we in an organization because he has a New York connection and with the Liberian community from New York before Minnesota. So when you get in touch with him or me, I do a lot of pro bono, not paying. Again, I respect and I admire Africans, especially Liberians, because I know what it takes to be a Liberian and here legally and hustling. So I want people to understand that when you want anybody to talk to legally, you can hit me up. And I'm always going to be there. So, and like I told you, I'm going to scream Minnesota in Ayako.
I mean, we'll take another beat for you on Minnesota
From
issue.
my car couldn't start. It was 4 degrees, but car couldn't start. Hi, Chrysler.
You keep coming back to Minnesota here, so we'll bring you another day to grill you on what Minnesota did to you because there's something beyond. You keep calling our city. Anyway,
I want to know what made him to leave, especially
that's another topic for another day.
No, I had a scholarship to go to law school in Minnesota, a full scholarship. When I went to law school, I came back.
We're not supposed to give you our scholarship.
Okay, Mel, question for Mr. Rich is here.
Yeah. I kind of forgot the initial question, but this question kind of came up as he was talking. I know you are an Anthony, but I think you might know a few things. How can local communities support families affected by deportation? If you know any that can be helpful to people that are listening, to some of us here on the platform here tonight, just asking questions as well.
Well, you said how can local people support?
Yeah, and local communities, like
Local
maybe
communities.
Lebanon organization in New York, a Lebanon organization in Minnesota, or any organization, especially immigrant communities. How can we during this heightened time, during this like the fear, right? There's so many misinformation.
So the only thing you can do is just link up with attorneys because again, once someone get arrested, brother, they're not talking to you. ICE will detain the person, attend the immigration court, or put into the expedited process. So all you can do here is help the family to be aware. Awareness is important. So what you can do now is you can link with attorneys and people that do pro bono work. Like me, I do pro bono work in New York. People that do pro bono work in Minnesota to have resources to educate people on their families being arrested and detained, and tell people who are at risk of deportation to change their address. Don't stay where you are. Immigration rates will be at night. Don't go lay down to the place where you know that the immigration know your address. They can't collect you. When they collect you, you're done, brother. And I said, you thought they will deport you in the end. That's the point.
There's a follow-up question to that. Or if you haven't any, I can let you go. But there's a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
You keep saying change your address. What do you mean by that? Do you mean your address you have on file, just go to somewhere else and be there without registering there? Or what exactly do you mean by that?
Okay. If you watched the news last week, the Trump administration attorney general sued the state of New York. You know what she sued the state of New York for? Because she didn't have access to the DMV records for everybody in New York. And you know why she wanted that? She wanted that for everybody that registered in New York, their name, address, and a location. When I say change your address, I tell all my clients, if you're undocumented, if you get people, if you can't, you can make crime. Change your location. Eyes don't go. When you walking around in the street, eyes won't know what to find you. They want to find you based on the address you registered, your name, your ID, your utility bill, your phone bill, anything you do that you put your name. Because in America, before you do anything legit, they will ask you for your name and address.
Yeah.
So if you're not at that location, immigration, when they come raid at night, they can't find you.
Yeah.
What I'm telling people is for the next 4 years, since we have Trump and he's trying to raid everybody, Don't be at that location where you get everybody. Now, get your grandma address. Get someone address.
Use
Don't
different address.
location.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Got it.
so
Got it.
two things here quick though. I know like you alluded to like Joe Biden or maybe even Obama back then, right? It's like there are more deportation. Sometimes there are more deportation during the Democratic administration versus maybe a Republican or like in this case Trump administration because like in Trump case, right? Like he said there's noise, right? That noise sometimes that leads to self deportation. I remember during the Trump first term, a lot of people that came on Ebola, they call it Ebola TPS. Most of them self-deported. The very
Yeah.
Trump turned out, very Trump because again the same fear. But it
Fear.
turned out like some of those that stay end up getting legal status. Is it that
Yeah.
some of this noise, right, is like leading to folks maybe might lead to folks self-deporting because they are so afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just told you that for the first 3 weeks of his presidency, he
Mhm.
only deported, and I want to read the numbers because I want to be accurate on the record.
Mhm.
As of February 3rd, Donald Trump has the February 3rd, not today, February 3rd. Today is the
17.
17th. 5,006, and this is from the Immigration ICE website. 5,693. He's only deported 5,693 people. And I just told you, Joe Biden, in his first 2 weeks as president, deported 12,000 people. Think about it. 5,000 to 12,000. But guess what? Nobody can say Joe Biden was racist. Joe Biden was deporting people. Joe Biden against immigration because he did it quietly. He was deporting people who committed violent crimes. Trump is a showman. Trump is all about the show. It's all about the whole just you want to make a scene.
Yeah.
So people in Liberia that came here on the Ebola time, and guess what? The whole overstay was commuted, and they had TPS. I know that. I've been in the process. Me and the Liberian community people here fought in DC to get Liberian people. Most people, like, I don't know why you're all in Minnesota because it wasn't, to get people status. We did that. But what I'm saying here is, I want my African brothers to know that things will be okay. But if you have a criminal record, please leave your location that you have all your address and information to. If you're in Minnesota or wherever you're at, stay on the low. Don't feel that you'll be deported if you don't have a criminal record, but don't travel, and that's the key. I personally people that actually travel say, "Oh, I will come back, no," and then they stop. Don't travel.
What's about traveling locally within the United States?
No, I don't actually travel, my man. When I say travel, I mean out of the country, brother. Now you leave Minnesota, you come to New York. That's the same era. You can't will be you. I mean traveling out of the country.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I mean travel internationally.
Okay. So guys, I think Mr. Richards have been providing some great information here, and this is a 1 hour show. We can keep him here all night and things like that. It is 9 o'clock in New York there, so we'll give our panelists one last question, and then finally we'll try to wrap this up. So Titus, I'll let you go first. Last question.
Mr. Regis, thank you for the education, the information you're providing tonight, bro. The community needs it, so we really appreciate you. So quickly, two questions quickly, right? You continue to say don't travel. So for those who will be slacking, right, who have maybe committed those crimes, they're still at that address. They haven't changed it. They're still in the process. What is the process for ICE coming to their home and actually raiding them? Does ICE need a warrant to enter somebody's home or not?
Thank you. It's a very good question. So far you said people shouldn't travel. Now I just tell you, if I say don't travel, it means don't put yourself in the lion's mouth. Oh, I mean, don't travel. Stay quiet. Now you ask a very important question. You need a warrant. Yes. Before you enter somebody's home, you need two things. You need a warrant or you need a consent. Consent means, hey, can I come in? If you say yes, they come in. You don't need a warrant. But yes, immigration officers cannot break your door. They cannot they can come to your job though. They don't need a warrant for your job. They can come to your job and stand in the lobby, stand in the hallway and wait for you. But your home is protected. They need a search warrant by a judge to come to your home. So ICE can never come to your home and break a door. But like I told you, as a human being, like me, tomorrow morning I go to the buy coffee. You will step out of your house.
Yeah.
You don't want ICE knowing your location and then parking a car in front of your house for you to come outside. That's what I mean. Exactly. But yes,
Okay.
you need a warrant to enter your home.
And just a quick I just want to get your thought quickly on a response from back home, right? So as we've been seeing over the internet, different governments have been responding differently to their citizens, who are being deported, right? Burkina Faso, Mali, presidents have gone to the airports, received their citizens, with try to restore their dignity at least. But most recently, our president Liberia made a statement about folks who are here in the states and kind of being sarcastic about the situation. While they're in these type of time. I don't know if you ever seen that video before. Do you have any thoughts on that? Where he said, "Well, you want to stay in America and be comfortable, go ahead, but Trump is coming for you." I mean, did you ever encounter that video? And what would be your thoughts on that?
I think it's unfortunate. I saw the video and I saw the statement, and I think it's unfortunate because I want you to listen to the finance minister of Liberia because he controls the budget of Liberia, and he says that like Liberians in the diaspora contribute more economically to our economy in Liberia, our local economy in Liberia. So when I heard that, when I saw the video from Barca saying, "Oh, whatever he said about Trump and immigration," it's unfortunate, but again, everybody in Liberia, I can tell you, like I told you earlier, I've been in Liberia for the past 5 years straight. Everybody in Liberia want an opportunity to travel outside Liberia to explore and improve themselves. So when people in Liberia know that you outside Liberia, they're happy for you and they wish you the best. So whatever Barker said, I think is unfortunate.
Okay, just real quick here. Can you clarify? Is it because ICE has ability? Because they are federal agent, they have federal warrant. Is there anything as a federal warrant, or so they don't need like an extra warrant? I think that's what Stefan is trying to say here.
Tell Stefan that ICE do not have, not even ICE, nobody can raid your home, nobody can raid a private property. They can only raid public places. So ICE cannot raid your home because of federal. There's nothing called federal warrants. I've been in federal court, I've been in Supreme Court, I've been in local courts. The only thing they can do is have a warrant to arrest you. But if they don't have a warrant, they can just go and bump into your homes and so forth. So that whole nonsense is no. They can go to your. Let me give you an example. I work in the city of New York in the criminal court. It's a public building. New York is a sanctuary city. I'm not sure if Minnesota is a sanctuary city because I know Chicago is, California is. ICE cannot come to our courthouse and wait in the lobby and arrest our clients. They got to stand way outside in the parking lot to know who they want to arrest. ICE cannot arrest people in our courthouse. They can't come in our courthouse. So when you need to arrest people in private places in a warrant.
Okay. Mel, question for Mr. Richards. Your last question or your last two questions, like titles if you have one, but hey, we'll get you the mail on there. You just know that. Okay,
No.
go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Richard had answered all of my questions.
Thank you.
I just have one statement, and that statement goes to our fellow Liberians back home. Okay, there are a lot of them that kind of joke with people being deported and kind of laugh with it. Like Mr. Richard just said, I would say 40 to 45% are looking at the stats of Liberia economy heavily rely on people in the US of A. So you guys back home there should not be happy for your fellow brothers and sisters being deported and they're joking about it, right? These things have psychological impact on people. We've seen people that have been deported and basically just because of society rejection and just laughing at the mockery caused them to kind of just do something to themselves. Some of them have committed suicide. Some of them just, they isolate themselves and just live in that kind of manner. These are your brothers and your sisters. All right. You don't know how things are in America. They came here to seek refuge. Some of them came here for opportunities. Just because they didn't have that means or something had happened, it does not mean they are not humans. So listening to this tonight, respect people regardless of how they went back home. So I will end with that tonight.
Okay. If you have any
Good
response
stuff, Mel.
if you have any response to Mel comment, Mr. Richard, I'll give you the opportunity. But then there's a question here from Ciso Colley. Which one do you want to take? Do you want to respond to Mel or you want to take the question?
Sir, again,
Okay.
I'm
So
against you.
the
You tell me.
with ICE with the whole ICE issue, people are really kind of so ICE send their federal agency, can they ask the state, before coming in to arrest folks, or can they ask do they have to have the consent of local authorities, either at the state level or at the county level or at the city level?
So generally, federal law on supersedes state law, meaning
Okay.
the federal is supremacy. But what I'm saying is they have several states. They are called sanctuary states, and those states create laws that if you're not charged with a violent felony, they don't have to coordinate with ICE. Example: New York, California, Chicago. Again, my research. Sorry, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't research on Minnesota. I don't know Minnesota. I'm presuming that it is.
We are a sanctuary state.
Okay. So if
Yes.
Not state. Your Minneapolis, your liberal enclave, Minneapolis is a sanctuary city, but not the whole
Yes,
state.
but you can be
is
a
it the
sanctuary
entire
state.
state?
You can be a sanctuary
Not the
city.
entire state. Minneapolis. First of all, Minneapolis running away from that definition as a sanctuary city. They're running away from that definition.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
Being a sanctuary city just targets you, that's all. But if you're not a sanctuary city, you can still say, okay, you're not going to work in connection. We've had people on here talk about that. You can decide that your police will not work in connection with ICE. You're not going to interfere, but you're not going to work in connection.
Okay, so you right now you're confusing me about Minneapolis and for us, New York is the entire state. When you're in New York, nothing is gonna happen. We don't mess with ICE. California, they don't mess with ICE. Chicago, they don't mess with ICE. So what I'm saying here is the entire state of New York, when you get arrested, if it's not a violent crime, if not charged with rape, murder, and so forth, they don't in undocumented, they don't work with immigration. So they don't tell these people, they don't tell immigration what it is. So like the brother asks you, will ask. No, they don't have to ask. The federal supersedes the state. But if we're a sanctuary city and we're not coordinating with you, you will know. But if we're not a sanctuary state, like your sister said, Minneapolis, St. Paul, like I don't know what happened in Minnesota, then the police will know once you get arrested and they'll pick you up.
okay. Thank you for that clarification. Miss B, last question from Mr. Richards. Any question or comment or concern?
Just to thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for all the great information that you shared. And people, he said he does do pro bono work because I know you guys are going to be calling or asking and interested. So it's good to know that we have a Liberian brother, who is licensed and educated to be able to provide us help, right? And so I just want to tell you thank you for getting that degree for all of us. We appreciate you for getting that degree for all of us. But I don't have any other questions. Thanks for coming on.
Nice meeting you, though.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you as well.
Okay. So last question here. As a defense attorney, if one of your clients arrested by ICE, and they refuse, like ICE, can they maybe like can they say, oh, I need to talk to my lawyer or something?
Everybody that get arrested have the right to an attorney. Everybody.
Okay. So in that case, what happens? As an attorney, what do you do? Do you so in that case, what happens? Do you go there and maybe bail them out?
I don't understand the question. You mean like just to ask information if they're documented or not documented?
Either one, whether documented or undocumented. I mean, if it's one of your clients, right, and they reach out to you and say, I need to talk to my lawyer.
Let me just tell you something. Just everybody to know. The less you talk to police, the better you make my case. When you talk to the police, you give my hand away. Let me put it in English. Brother, It's like you put on board also in like brother and say yeah. When you talk to the police, you don't put everything also. So when I go to the prosecutor, and I told you I was a prosecutor before for 3 months in Anoka County. So when you talk to the police, they record everything you say. Everything you tell the police is recorded. So every time you talk to the police, they use that against you.
Yeah.
So you're in a better position to not say nothing, regardless, immigration or not immigration, any case, to just shut up and say, listen, let me talk to my lawyer. Because when you do that, you give me an upper hand. When I go and talk to the prosecutor, they don't know what you say. And that's how I win cases, and that's how I at least get a better program for you or whatever it
Okay.
is.
Okay. And lastly, here, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come and educate our folks about, deportation and what's going on and dispelling some of the misinformation out there. So, what message, what's your party message tonight to folks that have been listening to you, folks everywhere, Liberia here, to our immigrant community, to everyone listening to you? What's the message to them tonight in this heightened environment, in this environment of fear?
My message is everything will be okay. Listen, we've been through this before. I just want you to know that we're going through a phase right now, and always speak to the professionals, the experts, the community leaders, and so forth. But you don't worry about nothing. But I need you to stay low. Don't do too much. I live mentioned that before. You can do too much sometimes.
Hey,
Jesus,
Paul.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I remember to I remember
Jesus.
I remember to some
Mr.
husband.
Richard, I'm going to invite you back on the show specifically to talk about Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Something has happened to you in this Minnesota here, so you not leave us alone. But anyway,
I
here's
remember. Wait,
yeah.
wait. I want to make one point. There was
Mm.
a place called it says Safari. What's the club? Is it called? Is it Safari?
They may haven't been here for long. They may want to be. I
No,
mean, let it
C'est
go.
la vie.
wait. No, the club. There was an African club that was shooting. Our daily club was shooting people.
Okay. He keep going off on Minnesota. I said, let it go. Let it go.
Wait,
But anyway, last question. All we got to get our audience.
my point is everything will be
Mhm.
okay, and just lay low,
Mhm.
and everything will be fine.
Okay. If you have any question today, let's give Collie maybe one last thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one. The kids.
Yeah. What happens to the case of those that get arrested and placed on deportation?
Listen, even though Trump tried to change the birthright citizenship, when your kid is born here, they're citizen, and the kids they won't be detained. But Trump is a confusion right now. They're trying to deport people and then leave the kids here, or ask them if they can go with their kids, and the kids have the right to be here because they're the U.S. citizen. So that's a tricky question, and right now, back in the day, if you're not a violent felony, if you're not a violent felon, just by having kids here, the judges will always consider that because they want the children to be in foster care.
Mm.
But like I told you, things changing now. We have a new president. The man crazy. so
Yeah.
yeah.
You throwing a lot of bomb here tonight, Mr. Richards. But we'll leave you at that. You are a great guest. You have provided some great education to our folks tonight. So, but we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so
Sure.
much for taking the opportunity to come on. We'll invite you here another time, maybe to explain the criminal defense process of our Liberian brothers, some of those that have legal issues and things like that. So, but thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, and you have a good night.
All right, man. All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good night,
boss.
everyone.
So, folks, let me just remove Mr. Richards here for a minute. But thank you so much for taking the opportunity, right, for us to go through that as panelists. I think it was a great discussion. Just your party message as we try to wrap this up tonight. I will start with you, Titus.
No, great discussion. The lack of knowledge. People perish from the lack of knowledge. You
Mhm.
see how confident he was because he's aware, he's knowledgeable about what's going on. So instead of being panicking and being in fear, he's telling people relax, lay low, relax, giving you tips, giving you pointers, regardless of what situation you're in. So I mean, great presentation tonight. We need to continue to have these type of conversations again, alleviating the fears, the panic in our community, and just continue to bring awareness to the community. Great one tonight.
Okay, Mel, quick there. Your
Yeah, guys.
feedback, on the show tonight.
Yeah. I'm excited about the show, and Mr. Richards have really given us a lot of information that we didn't know. So going over these things as they are impacting a lot of families, not just within the Liberian community, but the immigrant community as a whole. So just getting to understand how things are, getting to know what to do. He really elaborated on those. So it was great. It was informative, and we all kind of asked a lot of questions that people need answers for. You guys have contributed here tonight by asking a lot. So thank you, Mr. Richards. If you're still listening, we appreciate your time. And hopefully we can continue to have these kind of conversations and get our community informed. Information is important. Information is key. If you have information, you can make better decisions.
SB.
In the midst of chaos, the best thing to do is to stay focused. So I think Mr. Richards kind of landed on that when he's saying lay low, stay focused. While you're laying low, stay focused. My panelists, thank you for tonight, but you try so hard to get here and you work so hard to be able to stay here, but you don't get involved in a way that is even the most powerful, and recognizing that it is laws and policy change that advocates have fought for over the decades and centuries that have allowed you to come here and allow you to have these freedoms. And I just say, join the movement, be a part of the why, be a part of the change, exercise the rights that you fight so hard to get to become a citizen in this country. Get involved with your community organization. Get involved. Meet your legislators. Get to know your policymakers. Get involved, people. Help to change these policies that don't allow somebody like one person to come in their administration to have this much power to do things. And because things are in place, he's not being able to do things right. You have judges who have been able to overturn some of these executive orders, right? These judges didn't get into these offices on their own. They were elected. They were appointed, right, by other elected officials. So I just push you all to get involved. Really, really get involved in what's going on.
Well, with that, folks, that concludes the end of our show tonight. It was a great show. Thank you so much to Mr. Richards for coming on. And tomorrow we have a pro bono immigration lawyer here, Representative Sandra Fez. She's a representative of the Minnesota House of Representatives, and she's going to be here providing some really, really great legal advice. Right? So tomorrow, it's not about deportation. Tomorrow is all about when ICE come to your door, or what are the laws and all those stuff, right? And tomorrow is going to be our last one on immigration, deportation. All these, we have discussed it enough. We have educated our community enough. I think we'll take a break a little bit. Yeah, and leave it to other people now, because Inner Circle Podcast, we started this movement and we have done our part. So I think, thank you so much, our panelists. Tomorrow is going to be a good one. So please tune in. If you need advice, need immigration advice, legal advice, need to know something, just tune in tomorrow. Representative Sandra Fest is going to be providing some very good information. So thank you so much, folks. Thank you to our panelists, and good night to you all.
We start tonight. The Grit Bill.
Hey, brother.